fans and just crowd the ground. It's just a really claustrophobic feeling.
Tim Mickey Malthouse said last year he felt the MCG was neutral on grand final day. There was no disadvantage as an interstate club as we look at North Melbourne about to come. Do you agree?
I agree, totally.
So the Kangaroos come out of familiar rooms, I should say, don't they? And they were here in 1996. One of the interesting things about today is that there are so many premiership players in both teams. And there's Dennis Pagan, who has been meticulous. I mean, is there a coach that thinks of all the things that Dennis thinks of in the course of a year and prepares so well? So the Kangas, led by a modern great in Wayne Carey, are about to come forward.
And Dennis Pagan will be thinking at the moment, have I done everything that I can possibly do to prepare this side for this moment?
Just having a drink.
Talk it up, talk it up. Come on.
Well, it's a determined look, as you would expect. It's one of the keys today is if Adelaide at any stage can take away North's self-belief, their belief that they're destined to win this year. Do you feel the same?
Well, I think it's probably part of what they've talked about during the week, getting on top of North Melbourne early. But this North Melbourne side, I described it last week as death by 1,000 cuts, Luke.
Well, I this week thought they were like the Big Mac truck, Tim. They just keep rolling and rolling and rolling, and strong and powerful, and Carey in the middle of screen number 18. I think everybody, very few parts of footy have I ever known of where one player is unanimously accepted as the best player in the competition.
And he's got a job to do today, and so's Peter Caven, as we mentioned earlier. The rucks are going to be vital. Wren, McKernan, what role Pittman plays, and whether Marsh also gets a run, and Capuano.
Well, that's going to be the fascination in the early part of the game, I think, where Wren goes after he's taken the centre bounce knocks. Does he go with McKernan? Does Roberts come on the ball for North Melbourne? Do the Adelaide Crows start Marsh in their forward line and try and draw another tall North Melbourne defender?
Yes, there's many variations. Wayne Carey, 1998 All-Australian captain, of course, are going to lead the Australian team that plays against Ireland in October, but just a magnificent player. But the variations that are possible. Andrew McLeod, 7 goals last week. What a super player.
And a proven grand final player. The Norm Smith medalist in a winning team last year. The third Aboriginal to win the Norm Smith medal. We started with Maurice Rioli, didn't we? And Michael Long, and when you won in 93. Shannon Grant, who was here 2 years ago, ironically, against this very team, wasn't he? And there are 33 blokes out there that have played in grand finals. This poor fellow's the only one that hasn't won one of the 33.
Well, he'll be hoping that. Mark Bidley, of course, Adelaide captain, didn't play against North second last game of the home and away series, but a really solid, great leader for the Crows.
And Glenn Archer, who won the Norm Smith medal 2 years ago.
Wouldn't you like to go with the war with him, Tim?
Oh, he would be the first bloke you packed in your suitcase, wouldn't he, Glenn Archer? A great man that plays across the back line. He goes forward, but I think North Melbourne prefer to have him deep in defence at the start of the game.
All-Australian fourth in the Brownlow this year, Sean Wren.
Can be a very dominating ruckman. He had a dominating game last week when the Crows qualified for today. But I think Corey McKernan likes playing against the jumping ruckman, so that duel is just going to be pivotal.
Oldest man on the field at 33, played his 200th. A remarkable career, a danger player.
Well, he has freakish type skills and ball getting ability, and he's also one of the smartest players in this North Melbourne side. He's one player that Dennis Pagan does like to give his head to.
He's a floater, isn't he? He is hard to match up with. Robin, who kicked 6 last week, a repeat of that, and the Crows are well and truly on the way.
Many of them from a long distance. That was the important thing with his game last week. But 6 goals, that was a great bonus for the Crows last week. But Robin hasn't kicked anywhere near like those numbers, so let's see if he can do it 2 weeks in a row.
Star-studded lineups everywhere you look, aren't they? We've looked at just a few of the players who may have an impact. Winston Abraham, Mark of the Year, maybe Goal of the Year. Darren Jarman, who kicked 6 on this very ground, 5 in the last quarter last year. So the scene is set, isn't it? It's set for what should be a classic match. We'll be back with the national anthem right after this. AFL Grand Final. It's a great pleasure to be calling the Grand Final again this year with Sandy Robertson, Dennis Cometti. Welcome to both of you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Bruce. It's fantastic to be here. You couldn't keep us away for anything, Dennis, could you?
No, a great build-up, you've got to say, too. Hopefully the game matches the build-up, Bruce.
We've got our fingers crossed. There's no doubt about that, Dennis. And on Pineapple Head play track, a premiership player in his own right with the Magpies, Mickey McGuane. Mickey, who are you looking at, mate, in the first quarter?
Yes, Bruce, centre-half forward has long been discussed about being one of the most important positions on the ground, and today's players, Wayne Carey of North Melbourne and Matthew Robran of the Adelaide Crows, will have to play significant roles for their respective teams today. So we'll monitor their styles of play. What we may see is Carey being isolated in North's forward 50-metre area, and a lot of his running may be back towards his own goal, whereas Robran prefers to use the space forward of him when the Adelaide Crows team are streaming forward to win the ball.
Thanks for that, Mickey. Mickey McGuane on the play track. Let's join our Master of Ceremonies, Craig Willis, for the National Anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time now for us to prepare for yet another great chapter in Australian sporting folklore in the most traditional way of all. On this last Saturday in September, would you please be upstanding for the National Anthem to be performed by Rob Guest.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth of toil. Our home is girt by a sea, our land abounds in nature's gifts, our beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
It is the moment, isn't it? It is the tradition. The stirring time, Neil Curley and Robert Domenico down on the ground at the moment. Dipper.
Thanks very much, Bruce. What a great atmosphere, Curls. How many times do you reckon the players have dreamt about that song? Just wanted to get out there.
It's an emotional day, particularly for the players, and it's a day where they cannot let their emotions take control of their football brain. They must think clearly and react clearly, but this is a difficult wind.
Let's join the toss of the coin with John Hickley, who won the competition. Gary's won the toss and kicks to the left of screen. A special coin was minted for today's toss. Let's rejoin Robert Domenico and also Neil Curley.
Hey, Bruce, just talking about the conditions down here. This is one out of the box. Just fantastic, but a little bit swirly as normal here. No favouritism down here, but the track is very, very fast. That centre ground is
right,
rock
very
hard.
dry. And also, the players will have difficulty in their marking today because the wind is very erratic. It's a swirly wind. It's going one way that way and the other way this way, so they'll have problems.
The hardest thing to do is to win back-to-back premierships, Curls. The last thing to do was Hawthorn, 88-89. Can the Crows do it?
You know, the hardest thing to do is be involved in back-to-back premierships. That's hard too.
Back to you, Bruce.
Good on you, Neil, and also the Big Dipper. Peter McKenna's played in huge matches here, including one of the most famous grand finals of all in 1970. Great goal kicker. He's in the Great Southern Stand. Peter.
Good on you, Bruce, in this magnificent Southern Stand, as you say, and I'm particularly looking forward to sitting up here and watching the forwards. One of the great forwards of all time in Wayne Carey, 79 goals for the year, probably the key to the game. And down the other end, if Matthew Robran can perform as he did last week, the Crows will be right in it. Also Andrew McLeod on the half-forward line or forward pocket for the Crows, a player I rate a champion. So looking forward to watching the forwards, and both sides with great backlines also, Bruce.
Thanks, Peter. Well, no real surprises in who's gone to the interchange. We'll check them in a moment. North kick to the left of screen, the Crows to the right. Andrew Coates, whose dad was an umpire at this level. Caven's got Carey. Pike looks like he might have Smart, interestingly enough. Jarman's in the centre square. The moment has a... Matthew Robran and Wayne Carey.
Yes, Bruce, on play track in that first quarter, we highlight Wayne Carey, who's in the yellow dots, and also Matthew Robran in blue. We just seen the difference between the two players. Predominantly Carey played in the forward 50 part of the ground. He accumulated 7 possessions as opposed to Matthew Robran 1. Both players ran just under 2.9 kilometres in that quarter. Terrific work rate.
Thanks, Mickey. Great scene from the Whitman's Lightship as we look down on the Melbourne cricket ground, bathed in sunshine.
7 goals scored in the first quarter. 2 we won't forget for a long time. 1 from Wayne Carey, the other from Darren James.
Big lead for North at half-time. Not insurmountable, but pretty big.
And should be a lot bigger than what it is too, Lee. Just going through some players at half-time that haven't had enough effectiveness on this game in the forward line for the Crows in that first half. Jarman, Rashudo, Vardy and McLeod, who was so good last week. But there's been some wonderful clashes in this first half of football.
They've been in much positions, and certainly Byron Pickett doesn't he like the physical contact. I guess that one was just 2 guys wanting the ball. And we see it from a few angles. That is body against body. Have a look at this. Bang.
And that is a hard centre wicket area out there on the MCG too. Byron Pickett is also featured in one of the other great defensive moves in this first half. This smother in the first quarter. Actually, I think the ball just about hit him on the head, Lee.
Well, it was just a fantastic. Have a look at this. He just held onto the ball a fraction long, but the lunge and smother. And then when they got the ball forward, all of a sudden the ball would have been in Adelaide's forward line, but the ball goes to Pike for a shot at goal. So just a fantastic effort by young Byron Pickett.
Well, Pike went back and actually kicked that goal, but there's been a lot of misses in this first half. As we mentioned just before, the game should be all over.
Oh, it's incredibly wasteful. They just had shot after shot. Mostly they were shots where I thought players. Have a look at Wayne Carey. I thought, well, he was off balance, I guess. Yeah. Didn't have much of a choice. But Peter Bell, well, these are the ones, 45-metre shots with a windy, swirly day. I guess you're hoping you can kick them without expecting them.
And the foot will always follow the ball, won't it? If it's dropped awkwardly in windy conditions like this, then you are going to get that errant kicking.
But this is the one you'd hope to convert. But at least the Adelaide defence has just made sure the North guys had all the pressure on them when they had the shots. Winston Abraham, the long shot from the 50-metre mark. Last week there was a lot of shots kicked from the 50-metre mark, but again, a lot of long shots. There's usually a lot of long behinds.
Well, Corey McKernan's been pretty good in the centre bounces. He's been nullifying Wren and also Pittman in there. He's been good when he's gone forward. He had the opportunity, I believe, just before half-time, just about to put this game out of the grasp of the Adelaide Crows.
Well, absolutely. He said drifted into the forward line quite a bit, got a bit of space and marked the ball from 25 metres out. Just missed. And then, of course, Andrew Eccles late in the quarter had the chance. And they need every goal they can get, the Crows, because they are struggling to get the ball in their forward line. And Eccles on the left side, but really completely miskicked. And Mickey Martin hasn't been terrific at centre halfback.
Just checking the match stats now. The kicks, North Melbourne, 111 to 82. That's an interesting statistic. Handballs, they're even ahead in both departments. Now that really is interesting because they are one of the most efficient low possession sides in the competition. The mark's pretty even. There's not a lot of uncontested marks there for the Adelaide Crows, and the centre break's interesting.
Absolutely. The inside 50 as well. I guess they've had so many scoring shots, no wonder they've had so much more in there. It's interesting, one of the stats, the clang, is the really bad skill errors. Adelaide 18 to North 4, so Adelaide cannot maintain possessions in the North rooms. Oh, well, they'd be pretty confident that they're in control, and 24-point lead at half-time will go to a short break.
Points over North Melbourne. North had so much of it in the second quarter. They made the running in the opening term. The Crows stayed with them, though, and it was pretty close at quarter time, just 8 points, but it did get out to 24 at half-time. It's 6 goals 15 to 4 goals 3. So 21 scoring shots to 7 at this stage. Well, Mick McGuane's been having a look at Andrew McLeod, the Norm Smith medalist from last year, on play track in the second quarter.
Yes, thanks, Bruce. And we did have a look at Andrew McLeod in that second quarter. Of course, he was moved to the midfield part of the ground. And as we see on the screen, we've seen the work rate required by Andrew McLeod. He only ran 2.7 kilometres in that second quarter, which is not enough for a midfielder. As we see with the pie chart, he actually walked 53% of that quarter, and that's not far enough, not long enough, far enough for a quality player in that part of the ground. We have a look at the distance travelled per metre, and it's only 97 per metres. You use comparisons. Robert Harvey actually travels 160 metres per minute, and that's one thing Andrew McLeod has to do. He has to lift his work rate.
Mick McGuane there having a look at Andrew McLeod on the play track in the second quarter. Here's your chance to win a car.
Mitsubishi presents Grand Final Memorable Moments. Vote for your favourite moment now. Was it A, Twiggy Dunn's kick to force a draw in 1977? B, Wayne Harms's miracle tap into Sheldon in 1979. C. Kevin Bartlett's bag of 7 in 1980. Or D. Gary Ablett's record 9-goal haul in 1989. You be the judge for a chance to win a magnificent Mitsubishi Magna Sports V6 worth over $37,000 with the gearbox that allows you to select automatic or sports mode, plus free air and all on-road costs. Pick the moment with the most votes and you'll go into the draw for the Mitsubishi. The winner to be announced on Sports World the day after the grand final. Pick up the phone now and win a magnificent Mitsubishi Magna Sports V6.
Dennis and Sandy, both teams struggled to kick goals, didn't they, in the second term?
Extraordinary quarter, Bruce. When David Pittman booted that goal at the 6 3/4 minute mark of the second quarter, North Melbourne then added 1 goal 9. But I think, Des, we have to go back to the first quarter for 2 goals we won't forget for a long, long time.
No, well, the stage is made for great players. And watch this again. There's an opportunity for Jarman. There's a man on in the middle. You can see him in the distance. Watch as we go round. That's ignored, but why not? He kicks the goal. That's terrific. At the other end of the ground, the outside of the boot, Wayne Carey, and this is deliberate, no question about that, angles the boot, goes with the outside, full points if you don't mind.
Half-time, 24 points the margin. Can the Crows come back?
Well, Melbourne's out of gas. I think Adelaide could be too.
Already?
I think so.
Well, Melbourne. I think the thing the Crows favour is that they're still within touch. They are out of touch on the ground at the moment, but on the scoreboard, they're within touch. It gives Malcolm something to work with at half-time, Malcolm Blight, with his team.
He's touching for straws now, isn't he, Bruce?
No question.
He's saying we're still in this despite the scoreboard.
But, I mean, they could have been 8 goals down.
Oh,
they're not. They're 4.
They've got to find somebody at centre-half forward, whether it's Matthew Robert or somebody must stand up there quickly in the second half.
You're looking at me. Don't look at me.
Not you. We're going to take a break and we'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to the MCG half-time. North Melbourne by 24 points over the Crows. Let's go down and join James Hird, Premiership player in 1993. James, do you give Adelaide any chance from here? And if so, how?
Bruce, North Melbourne have been playing terrific football, but for Adelaide to win, I think they need to change it centre-half forward and through their midfield. They've got to get some ball. I mean, the North Melbourne midfield's been great with Peter Bell and Anthony Stevens really dominating, and I just can't see Adelaide getting back. North Melbourne really should have put the game away by now, and I would have thought that North Melbourne will kick on. They've choked Adelaide out of it in the first half, and really their pressure through the midfield and in their backline with Archer and especially Mickey Martin has been great.
And one of the problems for Adelaide now is they've been on the road for a long time. They've had to play 1 extra week also over North Melbourne, who's had basically the perfect preparation.
Yeah, look, Adelaide look very tired, and I think their preparation over the last 4 or 5 weeks have done a great effort to get here. They just look so tired, and I can't see North Melbourne really slacking off. Dennis Pagan is the best coach, and from personal experience, at getting his team up and making sure they don't relax, and I'd expect North Melbourne to kick on.
I bet you wish you were out there this year, maybe next year, James.
Thanks, Bruce.
Good on you, mate.
Thank you.
Terrific. James Hird from 7 Sport and Live and Kicking. A break. Back with more right after this. North now coming back out, must feel confident. They've really squeezed the Crows in the first half. Wayne Carey's had an interesting battle with Peter Cave. Probably should have kicked 4 goals to half-time.
Yeah, I guess that's he's been wasteful as the whole North Melbourne side, but nevertheless, they haven't been able to mark the ball easily against the Adelaide defence. That's the one part of the game where North really haven't been excelling.
I think Lee and Tim, the body language told us something too. When Adelaide did come out for the second half, they were a side that almost looked tired. As Bruce said, it's been a long haul. They've had a lot of weeks on the road. And for North Melbourne, they've had a spell. They've got a day's break on them this week. And they look very, very pumped and ready to take their second flag in 3 years.
Well, they've looked focused all throughout this final series, haven't they? This finals campaign. Even yesterday, the grand final parade, Wayne Carey almost didn't allow himself to smile or look like he was enjoying it, almost didn't allow himself to look like he was anything but a focused footballer who still had a job to do. Even early in the week, he was the Brownlow medal favourite. We see him there on camera now. But they've just been a hard-nailed side all year, and I really believe that it's going to take a Herculean effort by the Adelaide Crows to get back into this game.
Different curls.
Yeah, interesting move here by the Crows, putting Pittman on the bench.
Yeah, I thought he was at least challenging that quarter, but you know, for the Crows to get back into this game, looking from their point of view, they have to kick the first 2 goals.
Thanks, Neil. Remarkable scenes here. A repeat of 1997 with a closing half of football that was irresistible in the end. 11-12 to 2-7 after the long break. Nobody, not one person could have predicted the strength of their comeback. In fact, they were able to blow North Melbourne away. And when they got up there individually to receive their medallions, it was obvious the depth in this footy club and the depth there today. So many good players.
Well, so many players have stuck their hand up. And then Kane Johnson hasn't had a fantastic year, but again, a couple of terrific games late in September. He was terrific. Eccles in the third quarter, fairly unknown. 10 possessions in the third quarter. Goodwin 7. Tyson had 5. But McLeod, his second half, 17 possessions in the second half, and such a great user of the ball.
History here today, too. We should really make a big thing of this. Andrew McLeod, the first player to win consecutive Norm Smith medals, and with Gary Ayres now, the two players to have won a couple of them as best player on the ground in the grand final.
Yes, it's a day of history, really, for South Australia. Back-to-back flags. And it's interesting, Malcolm Blight has said that Andrew McLeod is probably one of the best players he's ever coached. Now, that puts him in some very lofty company, including the great man who wore number 5 down at Kardinia Park.
And Dennis, West Coast in its first 8 years won 2 premierships in '94. The Crows are right there now. After 8 years in the competition, they've matched them with their second premiership today.
No doubt about that, Bruce. As I said before, this is one of the greatest premierships ever won. I mean, given the fact they're on the road for 5 weeks, and that's the end result.
Good calling, Dennis and Sandy. A job very well done. We're going to take a break from the Melbourne Cricket Ground as Adelaide celebrates.
Congratulations, and you've been